This will be part 2 of a 2-part spring 2023 backyard orchard tour. If you missed part 1 and would like to see that video, I'll leave a link to it at the end of this one. Okay, I'll start here where I left off with my figs. I have 3 fig trees planted here, and this one here in the front is Peter's honey. And this season the leaves seem to be quite a bit bigger than they were last season. And this tree's been planted here a little over 3 years now. All 3 of the fig trees that are planted here were all planted about the same time, but this is the one that has had the most aggressive growth of all of them. Again, this is a Peter's honey, and this one here is on the right side here. This one is an Excel, and the leaves on this one also seem to be quite a bit bigger this season. It hasn't put on as much growth as the Peter's honey, but it's doing well. And with the exception of this one fig, that's the only fig on any of these trees. And over on the other side, right over here on this one, is a blackjack fig. It's also doing all right. It hasn't put on nearly as much growth as the Peter's honey. And the Peter's honey is also the one of all these 3 here is the one that produces the biggest crop. These 3 figs, the Peter's honey is the one that usually starts to set fruit first, and then it's usually followed by the Excel, and then last the blackjack. And these are cuttings that I have that I've taken these trees. I also have 3 other fig trees that I'll show you in a few that are growing in containers. I'll show you those in a bit. I started all these cuttings a couple of years ago. I previously posted a video on that. I'll put the name of the video on the screen so you can search my channel for that video. And here are my cherry trees. The mini royal on the left, that one started to bloom a little back in early March, a few weeks before the royal Lee that's on the right. Last season, between both of these, they produced a really good harvest. The royal Lee was the one that produced slightly more than the mini royal. And as you can see, there's a few on the mini royal. They're scattered throughout the tree. But the royal Lee, this one over here, this one has quite a bit more that have already set. It looks like it'll be another good season for these. And this is the first of the 3 figs that I told you that I have growing in containers. This one's actually growing in a 15-gallon container. This is a Little Miss Figgy, and this one always puts on a pretty good crop, and this one's going on its 7th season, and it's doing well. And this is my Black Mission fig, and this one's going on its 6th season. Hasn't done particularly well. I've been trying to get it to branch out more. This is the only fig so far, early fig. And this is my Celeste fig. And this one It's another one that's going on its 7th season. Still no figs on this one, but it's looking really healthy. And this one's always been a really good producer, so I'm sure this season will be no exception. And here are my mangoes, which all of them have put on some panicles with a good amount of flower buds, like this one here. This is a coconut cream mango, and I've never had any fruit set off of this one, and it's produced quite a bit of flower buds in previous seasons, but this is about the heaviest it's ever been, and like I said, it's never set any fruit, but hopefully this season it will. This one here is the Glen mango, which has also never set any fruit, but this is the first time that it's had such a heavy set of panicles with flower buds on it. So maybe this season I'll be able to try one. This one here, the smallest of the bunch, I actually had to cut this one back a few seasons ago. It did set some mangoes on it, and the tree was too young. I shouldn't have allowed it to set. I think it wound up somewhere around 3 that set, and they were all really good flavor, tasted really good. But like I said, the tree was too young. I shouldn't have let it set that many. I should have let it set any fruit. And as a result, it almost died on me, but it's starting to bounce back now. And this one here is my Pitomba. I've had this one set fruit on previous seasons, but last year this one developed some black sooty mold, and it got so bad that it had flowered and started to develop fruit, but the mold was so bad that I wound up losing all of the fruit. I still need to come back. As you can see here, still a little bit on there. I tried using neem oil to take care of the problem, but that didn't work. The only thing that wound up working was just using dishwashing soap and water and going in there by hand and cleaning up the leaves as best I could. This is my ice cream bean tree, which a couple of months ago I really cut this one back, and I thought I may have overdone it, but as you can see, it's got a lot of new growth that's coming out. This is a really, the growth on this tree is really aggressive. Was shading this entire section out, so I wound up having to prune it back. So, like I said, I was a little worried that I may have gone too far, but it's doing well now. It's bouncing back. Right next to it, this one here is my Grumichama. Last season, this one bloomed twice. The first set was in February, and then it bloomed again in September. The first set in February only produced about 40 or so. The second set of blooms was the bigger crop. This time around, this first set of blooms appear to be quite a bit more than what it produced last season. So hopefully a lot of these will set, and I'll get a bigger first year crop than last season. And if all goes well, hopefully that second crop will be even bigger than this first one here. I have several flower to harvest videos on my channel, but I don't think I've ever done one on this tree. It might be something good for an upcoming project. In the meantime, I'll include some of the pics of the last season's harvest so you can get an idea what they look like. And right in here along the fence line are my pink Barbie guavas. These always do well. They're looking a little bare right now because of the cold damage, but sometime around May they'll start to flower. So they always put on a pretty good sized crop, so these always do well. And right next to the pink Barbie guava, this one here is my Eureka lemon, which lost quite a bit of leaves during the winter months, and it's just starting to bounce back. Got a fairly good harvest off of it last season, but it did lose quite a bit of its leaves during the winter months. And a lot of my citrus wound up getting hit pretty hard. Like this one here, this is a Cara. I thought I was going to lose this one, but it's just barely starting to come back. And this next one here is my Moro Blood Orange. This one did pretty well during the winter months. Didn't lose very many leaves on it. As you can see, it's looking pretty healthy, but I've never had any fruit set off of this one. And this one here is my Satsuma Mandarin. Several years ago, this one, it was quite a bit, had a lot more branching, and it set a really heavy crop, about probably close to 100. And I made the mistake of planting it right after I harvested all of the fruit off of it, and I'm guessing it may have been too young, too weak. Well, it almost wound up dying. It went into plant shock and it almost died, and it's now just recovering after a really long period. But as you can see, it's put on quite a bit more leaves now, so hopefully it'll do well. And here are my grapefruit trees. That's a Oro Blanco on the left and a Rio Red grapefruit on the right. And as you can see, both of these also got hit pretty hard during the winter months. They're starting to put on a little bit of leaves, so they should be fine. And these are my ice cream banana plants, which are mature enough, so I'm hoping this season at least one of these will flower. I have a previously uploaded video which shows the flower to harvest on these. If you're interested in watching that one, I'll go ahead and put the name of that video on the screen so you can search my channel for that one. And here is my Meyer lemon tree that I have growing in this large container. And there's another one that I heavily pruned. And as you can see, it's put on quite a bit of growth. Previous seasons, this one has done really well. And now with all this new growth that's come out, I'm sure it's even going to do much better now. This one survived the winter months fairly well. Didn't lose too many leaves on it. Unlike this other grapefruit tree that I have here growing in this container, this one got hit pretty hard and lost quite a bit of leaves. This one's a Rio Red semi-dwarf variety. In spite of getting hit pretty hard with the cold weather, it still managed to set a few. Not nearly as many as previous seasons, but a few do look like they will wind up setting. And this is my Hawaiian white guava that I have growing in a 7-gallon grow bag. And this one is also just starting to recover from the cold damage. And this is my Dorset golden apple tree that is looking very healthy, and even has some apples that have already set from some blooms came out a few months ago. This one usually blooms twice a year. It'll probably push out another set of flowers sometime around late July. The apples are really tasty, but they come out pretty small. But they're really good tasting. And these are my pear trees. That's a pineapple on the left and a hood pear on the right. And I don't think these are well suited for my area. This will be the third year that they've been in the ground, planted in the ground in this section here. And they just don't do well. It's still alive, but no leaves on this one yet. Hasn't come out of its dormant period, it appears. And the other one has just a small set of leaves on it. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep these. I'll give it another season or two and then decide what I do with them. Well, that will be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. I have a gold nugget loquat that I talked about on the part 1 of this video series that's almost ready for harvest. As soon as it's ready, that'll be my next project. I'll go ahead and upload a flower to harvest video on that one. So I hope you'll tune in for that one. Until then, as always, stay safe, grow your own, and thank you for watching.